G'day guys, Alex from Axe Physio here. Today we're going through a power day warm up in the gym. Now a power day is a specific day that we have in our routine where we're focusing on moving less weight but moving it very explosively for only a small number of reps. We need this in our routine so that we can be more explosive on the rugby field. If we just lift heavy weights the whole time, we're not moving as quickly as we can, and if we want to be able to make dominant hits, be very effective in attack with changing direction and being explosive, then we need to make sure we're actually training that way, and having a dedicated power day is really important. If you want to see the dedicated power day that I did that is for this warm up, please check that out on my YouTube channel. But this video is about doing the warm up for that session. How do we get ourselves ready so that we can get underneath the bar or do these explosive movements and do them well? So we need two parts to doing a good warm up for a power day. We need to have a mobility component, so we're moving the appropriate joints well, we're getting them through their full range of motion, and so that when we start, we're not having to worry about being a bit stiff. And we're also having an activation component, which is just talking about getting the muscles around those joints nice and warm so that we're not at risk of injury, but also from a performance aspect, we're sort of ready to go, we're fired up, and our muscles are working quickly. All right, so let's jump into that warm up now. Okay guys, you've walked in the gym, you've placed your bag on the ground, we're going to start warming up, and we're going to start by warming up and doing activation exercises for the foot and ankle through some heel walks and some toe walks. The toe walks is getting up into our toes, locking out as much as we can, and then maintaining that ballet-like position and walking forwards for about 10 meters. And then the heel walks is the same, but on the heels, walking 10 meters. And we're just swapping, so you're going forwards on your toes for toe walking and backwards on your toes for toe walking, walking forwards on your heels, walking backwards on your heels. It's really important that we have a good relationship with the ground. The foot and ankle is our point of contact with the ground. If we're not strong through the foot and ankle, we can't be explosive. It's impossible. We need to have a good relationship with the ground. It starts with the foot and ankle, and we want to make sure that we're nice and warm and ready to go by doing these heel walks and toe walks. Of importance, but also convenience, because we don't want to spend all our time in the gym today, we're going to be doing some walking, hip opening and closing. This is to get our hip mobility happening, but it's also an activation exercise because we're being active when we're doing this. Walking forwards, we want to open the gait, which is bringing the leg up and then coming out away from the body. And then we want to do closing, which is bringing the leg up in an open position and then bringing it towards the midline. This is going to ensure that we're getting nice hip mobility happening, because we are doing squats and cleans in this session. Now, ankling is a sprinter's exercise. What we want to do is keep our foot flat and we exchange our feet over in the air. So imagine your big toe is always facing the ceiling. As you hit the ground, you then pop up, exchanged over onto the other leg, and then that leg takes over. We're trying to spend as little amount of time on the ground as possible. We're trying to be like a spring. We're trying to get really quick here. When we go onto these medium to big circles, you'll see it starts to look like a running action. The key is to keep that big toe up so that you've already got a flat base to hit the ground with. By having that flat base, by being ready to hit the ground, you can pop up quickly, and this will allow you to have that quick reaction like relationship with the ground. I will be doing a full video to explain ankling, so make sure you subscribe to the channel guys so you don't miss it. Up next we have Pogos, and if you thought the ankling wasn't for you, at least do the Pogos. This is a great way to get bouncy with the ground. Keep that big toe towards the ceiling, so that means your foot is fairly flat, but we're still landing on the front half of our foot. We're hitting the ground and we're pushing up, and we're being as elastic and reboundy as possible, and this is going to propel you up in the air. It's just this little pop, and it's not quite a jump, but it's more of a elastic recoil with the ground. We're being like a spring. We're landing and propelling, and just repeat that until you get the hang of it and you're getting nice and springy. This is really important for people that want to be quick and explosive on the rugby field. So once we've finished off some Pogos, generally 3 sets of 10 jumps is pretty good, we can then go over and do our Lunge Series. Now this Lunge Series is both mobility and activation. We're trying to open up the groins, we're trying to get our quads working, and we're also just in general exploring a lot more different hip, knee and ankle mobility. We're going to go lunge series forwards, sides and backwards. So we're going around the clock and we're just trying to get up into that athletic triple extension position. The triple extension position is when your ankle is locked out with your toes pointed, your knee is locked out and your hip is locked out. We want to have a strong triple extension position because it's going to allow us to be more effective when sprinting and when sort of coming into tackle positions. We get that full lockout of our hip, knee and ankle that propels us forward and allows us to be really dominant in tackling and when carrying the ball, but also in sprinting an open field. I've been doing 3 lunges on my left leg forward and then to the side for 3 and then back for 3, so that's 9, and then repeating for the right leg, so that's 18 lunges all up. Definitely really worth an add to any lower day or power day routine that you're doing. A secondary note as I'm finishing off these lunge series now is that if you're someone that suffered ankle sprains in the past, getting really strong and being able to hold yourself in that triple extension position at the top is a really great exercise for someone that's had repeat ankle sprains. So moving on, we're doing some weighted squat holds. It's just a nice way to explore that mobility of your hips. If you're someone that's doing scrummaging, if you're getting into low body positions to clear out in a ruck or make a dominant hit in a low body position, it makes sense that we want to work on our hip, knee and ankle mobility, and a weighted squat hold is the perfect way to do that. Make sure that you're always pulling yourself down into that position. I'm not sitting relaxed here. I'm actually trying to pull myself deeper into the squat and the weight is helping pull myself down. From there, I just go straight into some groin rocking, which is a nice way to open up the hip flexors, open up the groin and adductor muscles, and also some of the hamstrings as you get back into that seated position. I would do anywhere between 6 to 8 rocks on either side, really just taking your time to explore through that range of motion, always pushing down towards the ground so that you're being active throughout the entire stretch. Okay, so once we've finished with that, we're getting onto the ground and we're doing some lumbar rollouts. This is a nice way to get some lumbar spine movement happening, some flexion happening. It's also a nice way to get the groin opening up as well. I feel like this is a nice little straightforward progression. I've been enjoying it just because it's a little bit more forceful and we're being quite aggressive through the rollout. I then just go back through it and repeat that same sequence of doing the weighted squat holds into the rocking into the lumbar rollouts. Now we're back standing again. You can have these at the start, but lunge walking into this A position, which is when we're getting into that triple extension, that athletic position. We're getting up onto our toes, working a little bit of balance, so the ankle's working hard here. We're getting a lunge, so the quads are working, the glutes are working, and we're snapping into that triple extension position. So try that one for 2 sets of 10 lunges. We can then go on to our RDLs. So I use the RDL in combination with a single leg glute bridge. It's a great way to work the posterior chain, which is the muscles on our back side. So our lumbar spine, our glutes, our hamstrings, our calves. The posterior chain is really important when generating force when doing things like sprinting and jumping. The hamstrings are really important in sprinting. They allow us to get quick turnover of our legs when we're in upright running. So making sure that we're nice and warm before we do explosive jumping is important. Just getting on the ground there, and you'll see I'm doing a single leg glute bridge. I've got the dumbbell over that hip and just driving up. I probably could have been a little bit slower when doing these exercises, but I'm just making sure that I'm pushing up, squeezing my glutes and getting a little bit of hamstring involvement as well. We're now going to do a quick weighted jump sequence where we take a medicine ball or something heavy. We do 3 to 5 jumps. I'm going full range of motion just to keep myself warm, making sure I'm exploring more hip, knee and ankle mobility. I then drop the weight and redo 3 to 5 jumps, and you should be jumping higher than before. But what we've done is we've made the nervous system, your body, adapt to a higher weight and then allowed it to jump against less weight. And it's just a way of creating that stimulus change to the body, and it's a nice way to get warm for our power session. Just do 2 rounds max. Keep in mind that power day is all about quality over quantity and not doing too much volume. So that's my warm up for that power day. Once again guys, make sure you check out the actual exercises that we did for that power day. I split it into 2 videos so that it doesn't seem too overwhelming to have a 20-minute video, and you can just sort of use this as a resource as well. If you have any other questions, or if you just want to make sure you don't miss any other rugby content or injury prevention content as it comes out, please consider subscribing to the channel. As always guys, I really appreciate your time. coming to my channel, and I'd love to see you in another video. So I'll see you then. Goodbye.